Have you ever wondered where the next giant leap in space exploration actually comes from? It often starts not in some sterile lab, but as an idea that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi novel. Today, we're going to dive into the amazing NASA program that takes those wild what-if moments and actually starts drawing up the blueprints, turning science fiction into the science fact of tomorrow.
So yeah, this is the big question, right? It's one thing to dream about fusion-powered starships or building cities on the moon, but it's a whole other thing to actually, build them. So what's the secret sauce? What's that bridge that takes us from pure imagination to actual reality?
Well, it turns out NASA has a special place for these kinds of concepts, a home where the most ambitious, the most forward-thinking, and let's be honest, the wildest ideas get a really serious look.
It's called NIAC. That's the NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts Program. The best way to think about it is like NASA's very own venture capital fund, but for the future of space. It's specifically designed to find and nurture those really early-stage, high-risk ideas that just maybe could have a massive payoff down the road.
And this isn't just daydreaming. For 2025, NASA is putting more than $2.5 million into 15 of these crazy-sounding concepts. Now, for a huge agency like NASA, that might not sound like a lot of money, but you got to think of it as targeted seed money. It's just enough to see which of these incredible ideas has what it takes to maybe grow into a full-blown, multi-billion-dollar mission someday.
And you can really hear how important this is from the top brass. This quote from Clayton Turner at NASA says it all. He says these concepts can radically change how we explore. This isn't just some fun side project. They see it as absolutely essential for making those next giant leaps.
Okay, so let's check out a few of these radical ideas. First up, something that could completely change how we get around the solar system, a fusion drive.
The idea is called the helicity drive. Now, fusion, that's the same process that powers our sun. It's all about smashing atoms together to release just immense amounts of energy. So this drive would basically create a tiny, controlled sun on the back of a spaceship, giving it a continuous, powerful push to hit speeds we can only dream of right now.
Now, what's so cool about this is what it could do for us. I mean, sure, it would give us amazing new data on our sun, but the real game changer? Human travel. A working fusion drive could mean fast, crewed missions to Mars, maybe cutting the travel time from 9 long months down to just 3. That's not just faster, it's way safer for the astronauts, because it slashes their exposure to all that deep space radiation.
Okay, let's switch gears. We've talked about getting there, but what about actually living there? I mean, how do you build a home on the moon when you can't just ship a giant hardware store from Earth? Well, the answer might be to just use what's already lying around. This concept, with the great nickname lungs, is all about melting the dusty lunar soil, the regolith, which is super rich in glassy stuff, and then using it to build a big spherical habitat. Seriously, it's like building an igloo, but instead of snow and ice, you're using moon dust and advanced robots.
And here's why this is such a BFD. The single biggest obstacle to building stuff off-world is the mind-blowing cost and difficulty of launching heavy materials from Earth. If we can learn to build with local resources, we solve a massive piece of the puzzle for creating a real, self-sustaining presence on the moon.
Okay, so we've traveled faster and we've built a home. Now, how do we explore some of the most fascinating and really hard-to-reach places in our solar system? Places like Saturn's icy moon, Enceladus.
Say hello to LEAP, which stands for Legged Exploration Across the Plume. Now, Enceladus is famous for these huge geysers that are literally shooting water from its hidden subsurface ocean out into space. So instead of trying to land and drill through miles of ice, this little robot would just hop. It would jump from geyser to geyser, catching totally pristine ocean samples as they erupt into space. How cool is that?
The real genius here is the access. This is just such an elegant solution to one of the biggest challenges in the search for life. It lets us sample an alien ocean, one of the top spots to find life beyond Earth, without ever having to touch the surface. It's smart, it's efficient, and it is exactly the kind of out-of-the-box thinking NIAC was made for.
So let's recap. We've got ways to get there faster, live there smarter, and explore more nimbly. These 3 ideas alone are absolutely incredible, but believe it or not, they're just the tip of the iceberg of what NIAC is looking at this year.
And the variety is just staggering. I mean, check this out. There are ideas like using electrolysis, basically zapping molecules with electricity to pull breathable air right out of the toxic atmosphere of Venus. Or, get this, a giant inflatable star shade that would fly thousands of miles away from a space telescope to block a star's light, so we can finally see the tiny, faint planets orbiting it. They're even funding ideas that could help us right here on Earth, like new hydrogen power for airplanes. And for the astronauts themselves, there's research into therapies that could protect their bodies by replacing damaged mitochondria, the little powerhouses in our cells, on those long trips through space. It's just an incredible portfolio of our possible futures.
Now, it is really important to remember that these are all just studies right now. They're not official NASA missions. But the key word in that sentence is yet, because this is how it all begins. Every single historic mission, from Apollo to the Mars rovers, started as a concept, an idea that someone, somewhere, thought was just crazy enough that it might actually work.
And that kind of brings us to our final thought. As we look at all these incredible blueprints for the future, the real question is, which one of these sci-fi fantasies will our kids or our grandkids read about in their history books as a landmark achievement? That, right there, is the power of dreaming big.